Hello, and welcome to another episode of Design Tips and Sips. I'm Anna Gibson with AKG Design Studio, and we're here for another episode to tell you all about design tips and sips. This is the show that brings you design tips, health, wellness, and everything style related. So, buckle up. We are going down in history, right?
Yes, definitely.
We are talking vintage designs with Sara Carter today. So thank you so much for joining us today. And she also brought us this beautiful drink. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's called Empress Gin. And it's actually made with butterfly peas, which if you look and find one of the other episodes, you will see we used it in one of our teas. And it's actually, we use it in our signature shared luxury custom tea at AKG Design Studio. So maybe that will be our new signature drink.
Could be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Welcome to the show. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers, Anna. Thank you for
so
having me.
delicious.
I love it.
That is
Love it.
good.
And
yes,
it's beautiful.
Absolutely. So welcome, Sara. Thank you so much for joining us. And tell me a little bit about yourself and how do you end up with vintage?
Wow. So I originally started as a design student years ago. Always had a love for architecture, art, design, color. I don't know where in my life it began, but at some point in time it happened. I found a job in business and I kind of transitioned out of my art and design career and went down a different path. But art, design, vintage has always been a huge part of my life. I joke and say that, I was thrifting before thrifting was cool, before the word sustainable was in anybody's vernacular. And, now it's very popular and thankfully so, because I think it's very important, especially when you do talk about that sustainability and the environment, which I think a lot of people are concerned about now.
Absolutely. And before we go any further, I have to say that both Sara and I are wearing vintage, especially from the show. So this is a jacket, a real London tweed jacket that my mom bought in the 80s in London. And I'm wearing it right now, but actually it already passed along and being used by my daughter. So 3 generations has
fabulous.
been. Yes, I know, right?
Yes.
So she is the one wearing it. So I actually had to steal it from her closet. Shh, don't tell her.
Well,
What are you wearing?
I'm wearing a vintage caftan.
Which is all the rage this summer.
Yes, definitely the caftan, because in a moment's notice, I could go to a cocktail party or I could go to bed.
There you go. That's
and
perfect.
This one, bonus, has pockets. And
fabulous.
Yes. So I'm loving it.
There you go. Jean and caftans, we're back in the 70s.
Yes.
I think it's just absolutely fabulous.
All the Mrs. Roper vibes.
Yes, absolutely. So how did you start at Harvest and Hammer?
So Harvest and Hammer came about quite on accident. I shopped vintage, thrifted vintage, flea market vintage forever. Like I mentioned before, it was cool and everybody thought it was kind of like, but it's used people's, they've used it. And I'm like, I don't care. And I was out with my still partner and he and I were shopping at this local antique mall. And he's like, why don't you have a space? Like, why aren't you doing this? And gee, I don't know. And he said, how about this? I'll pay for the space and you do this. You need this creative outlet, which I did. I was working in business and was an executive at a quasi-stressful job. And so, yes, art was always my out and my outlet, and I needed that creativity. So we got this space and named it Harvest and Hammer, kind of harvest the gathering, the collecting, the curating. Hammer, sometimes we put things back together. Sometimes we change them completely and just repurpose. So it just kind of made sense. And they're thoughtfully curated, thoughtfully crafted items. Most of them are going to probably I tend to lean a lot 70s, a lot 60s. There are some other items. I try to keep in mind what other people may be looking for. That's not my taste. Things that I think are interesting or exciting. I love the idea of having stuff that other people can't have or can't
Absolutely.
find readily
Yes.
available. That's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. So is there a particular, like, I know it's probably a trade secret, but where do you usually source your items?
I do a lot of estate sales. And not, I won't gatekeep, estatesales.net. It's an app. I don't care like where you are in the I don't know if it's international, but United States wise,
Yep.
you can go to this app and it'll tell you where the estate sales are, when they're happening. There'll be photos. And it's really a great place if you want to go see stuff and look at stuff and put your hands on things.
Absolutely.
So they'll maybe start on Friday and Saturday, they'll be 25% off, and Sunday prices can be 50% off to 75% off, all depending. Auctions are another one that's fun to do. Auctions, sometimes you are able to see the items before you purchase, sometimes not.
Right.
I've fallen into the trap a couple of times where I haven't paid attention to how big things are. Bought a set of vintage speakers, went to go pick them up. They're cheap. They're like $5. I'm like, well, if they work, if they don't work, they look cool. I got them home. They are over 3 feet tall.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm scratching my head. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. So I actually ended up turning them into an entertainment center. They do work. I went on Amazon. I bought a $50 Bluetooth receiver. My kids can play their Spotify through them. They look amazing, and it all worked out. So auctions are great. They can be a great surprise for what you're buying.
Absolutely.
Economically, the first time I bought something at an auction, I was testing to see that my credit card had gone through and that everything was copacetic there. And I put a bid on the first item, which was a settee, and I bid $1, and I won it. So I win this settee,
and it's a beautiful one, guys. Take a look, right? Yes,
it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's,
for $1, man, that is
silk.
Yes,
and it's in my office. It's got a fabulous pillow on it. That's lips, and they're velvet, and they're huge. It's very fun. But yeah, auctions are great.
Yeah, I have to say that I am closeted auction nerd, and so there are a couple of companies in this area, and yeah, it's definitely, you can spend a lot of hours sitting and sifting through what they have to offer. And my rug is from one of the auction, thank goodness, because my dog, it's from everything that can be destroyed in this house, the only thing my dog destroys is the rug. But it was from the auction. It was $10. So I'm like,
it's crazy what you can buy.
I'm not replacing it. And it's a beautiful rug. Unfortunately, it's a little bit, but eventually I think I'm just going to have to take and have it just rehab on the corners where he destroyed. But it was like $10. So it's perfectly fine. Like I'm not feeling, but even the sizing, like I have a little set of whiskey, and I thought it's going to be much bigger, and the cups are like this size. So it's kind of hard to see, but it's a great opportunity to bring things that have history and things that you're never going to be able to get otherwise. Like, because a lot of the stuff that is made now, it's just really sad fakes, right? Like it doesn't,
the quality is so different. Like I have a sofa at home. I got it years ago, before mid-century made a comeback, years and years ago, and everybody thought I was just weird for having this 10-foot quasi-crescent-shaped sofa with very large houndtooth print. It's beautiful. Under one of the cushions, it's signed in calligraphy who upholstered it and who it was for, and it was a different time. But this thing must weigh, I don't know, 500 pounds. It's extremely heavy. Yeah. And I think I paid $60 for it. I paid more for the U-Haul to move it from Restore Habitat for Humanity, another wonderful, wonderful source. Yep. I paid more for that U-Haul than I did to get it to my
to
house.
get it. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it just gives that, it adds and brings your home just another layer of
Hmm.
interest and history and vibe that you just cannot get it when you just go to a regular store, right?
Exactly. And creating those layers and creating the sense of who you are. And that's something else that's really important to me, is that my home tells a story of who I am. And friends and visitors of my home just walk in and they like, well, where'd you get this? Or why do you have that? And art is another great one to buy secondhand and at estate sales. And you can get original paintings that just really speak to you, and find stuff that really speaks to you for a minimal cost. What
Right.
I think is a
Oh,
minimal cost.
absolutely. Yeah.
I have a 6-foot surfboard that's all mosaics. That's absolutely beautiful. And
That is awesome.
yeah, and that it less than a couple $100s. And
Yes,
it's amazing.
absolutely. Yeah. So, so talking about like your home, like let's talk about like thinking outside of the literal box and thinking about like where is the opportunity to to introduce vintage into your home.
Hmm. So when I think outside the literal box, I'm thinking about how you actually live and how you use your house,
Absolutely.
and what your needs are. Um, we have a home, or a room in our home. We call it the breakfast room. And for the longest time, it had a table and 4 chairs in it. And nobody went in there. Just nobody went in. So I changed it. And I put in kind of like a banquette / settee along the wall. It's actually a futon, but but it works for what it is.
Yep.
A vintage table. I have a vintage chair. My kids call it my throne. And then I have a stool. And all of these things, if you were to look at them individually and say, we're going to put these together, you would say, no, this just doesn't look right. But they do all come together. And the juxtaposition of the modernness of the settee with my quote unquote throne chair, I think they really speak together, and it really makes the room sing. And consequently, what's happened is this room has become comfortable, and it hasn't become stiff. And it is now a very livable room where if we eat together, not at the breakfast bar between sports and everything else that's going on in our house, but if we eat together, we usually eat in that room. And it's cozy, and the lighting's good. Lighting's something else that's really special to me. And you know, the light in the morning's great. The evening with candles is great. And I think making that room how it needed to fit my family and what we're going to use it for was really important. And just having the table and 4 chairs there and it not being that comfortable wasn't working, and nobody used it. And dining rooms can also be kind of the room that you use, twice a year during holidays. Yeah. And at our house, maybe it's a puzzle room, or maybe I'm sewing and it's a sewing room and I have all my stuff out there, and that's fine. But think of how you want to use your room and make it work for your family.
Right. Absolutely. And this is how we work with our client. We go and we talk to them about what is their lifestyle, what is happening in the room, what is not happening in the room, right? And like, how can we actually accomplish that room is now going to be functional? So we have clients that we're working with right now that literally I keep calling it the breakfast room, or the dining room, but it's not. They have a dining room. That room is kind of like the catch-all. It has an old poker game table that needs to go because they found it on the side of the street like 20 years ago. Talk about vintage. Yes. But it really does need to find its way somewhere else. But it's also the room where they're actually going out to the pool. So that room, other than like throwing laundry on it and nothing is happening in there. So and there's beautiful fireplace that is just like jumble right now and you can't even see it. So the plan is actually to restructure the fireplace, put some built-ins and bring some furnishing as well. So it actually can be usable, that they have storage for all the pool stuff, but at the same time, they can actually sit and have maybe a quick breakfast in there without going into the dining room, because they have this beautiful view of the backyard versus going to the dining room that is it's just like your traditional Virginia dining room. It's just facing the front versus having this beautiful backyard view. So we really want to make sure that like we use that. And then I love incorporating also vintage pieces when we do our design, or be inspired by pieces that our clients have at home. So we did a kitchen several years ago here in Reston, and really the whole kitchen colors stemmed from these beautiful vintage plates that she inherited from her aunt. And so we wanted to make sure that they're displayed, but then all the colors that we used in the kitchen was inspired by those plates. So when I design, I do like to get that one little piece of that hopefully they have at home or they really, really like, that then we create a design around that. And I think using vintage pieces it's always fabulous to me. And if there's things that we can save from the landfill, that makes my heart sing as well. Because I think that is the biggest problem with, we talk a lot here about fast fashion, cheap cabinetry that, you're going to have to replace in a couple of years. But the same thing goes with, fast furnishing, right? All the stuff that you buy from the big box store that after like a couple of years, they're just not usable anymore.
Right. And I really like your point about finding those dishes, or finding that jumping off point. And it's even better if it's something that's meaningful. And you were talking about your rug earlier. A rug's also a great jumping off point when you're, starting to pull your colors or what's going to make sense for that room. And, but layering with the things that mean something to you. So, you don't walk in and it looks like, a showroom.
Right.
And
absolutely.
it shouldn't look like a showroom. It should mean something to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and you talked, we talked before and you said that you are maximalist, which I am far away from that. I'm really trying.
I'm an OCD maximalist.
Okay. So what's an OCD maximalist?
I have a lot of stuff, but it's always placed perfect.
Okay. All right.
No, I am an OCD maximalist. One of my favorite designers is Ken Falk, and I think he just does this amazing job with everything, and his patterns and the colors and his use of taxidermy. I know that can be kind of a touchy subject.
Yeah.
I have taxidermy in my house. Above the speakers that hold the TV, I have a shark.
Wow, a real shark.
A real shark. It was Mako shark, and it was a Valentine's Day gift. Actually, it was a Valentine's Day gift that was found on the trip that my partner and I were. And he said, "Why don't you have a space here? Why don't you have a space here?" And that's where the shark was. And and I got that for Valentine's Day. His name is Billy Ocean, and the kids think it's hilarious that I will name the various pieces of taxidermy.
Yeah. I have a story about taxidermy, but it wasn't as successful. Like my friends, they own a huge head of buffalo, and he suddenly decided to bring it home, and he surprised her by hanging it over their bedroom bed. It was there for a while.
Wow.
Needless to say, that marriage did not last. No. So, take your taxidermy lightly, know your partner.
Yes. I was fine with the shark. It was wonderful. It's one of the best gifts I've ever
there you
received.
Go.
I love my shark.
Yeah. So before you give somebody, make sure you know their style and their taste before you go there. So I feel like the OCD also kind of brings us to the point of talking about mental
Mm-hmm.
wellness, because I
Mm-hmm.
think if you are maximalist, I said, with no direction, at least for me, there's too much, right? This
Mm-hmm.
is how my brain works. My brain is like, oh my God, this is too much.
Clutter brain, clutter
Brain,
house,
yes,
not working.
yes. And that kind of like where keeps me more on the cleaner and,
Mm-hmm.
more European design cleaner lines. But I think it's really important, right? Like the balance between the clutter,
Yes.
because as far as we go, at least for me, cleanliness is mental health.
And that's very true. That's very, very true. And a lot of people can't have. My house is constantly styled for no reason other than I like to have it that way. I have a small footstool that sits in the breakfast room, and it has a stack of books on it, and they're always a certain way, and they're just such, and they're just so, and I like it like that. And do we read them? Sometimes. They're very funny. They're from the 40s about how women should act, and I find them completely hilarious. And but with that said, that's what brings me happiness.
Yes.
All of that color and all of those things, and seeing, is it the shark? Is it the surfboard? Is it, the Eames chair? All of those things bring me joy. And I think that's really what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
I don't know how many years ago when Marie Kondo had all of her, like, do you bring me joy? Well,
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of like that.
Right.
But mental clutter is a thing, and mental health and design, I think, is more prominent in people's minds than they really understand it to be, because you can walk into a room and be like, oh, this room doesn't feel right. Well, what doesn't feel right about it? For me, 9 out of 10 times it's the lighting. I love the fact that we have LED lighting. Sometimes LED lighting and I are just, it's too blue, or the overhead lighting is too harsh, and you need definitely the ambient lighting before. Often you rarely need task lighting unless you're cooking or
Right.
or something of that nature. But having the different layers of lighting, and it really has an effect on your brain.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a whole episode coming that we went to visit the Lutron Experience Center, and we really talk about, how LED actually really just developed from early stages. When I went to design school in million years ago, it was just that one LED, one color, that's it.
It looked like an ice cream cone.
Yeah, pretty much. And it was just it. It was also cost like $80 for one recessed light. And now, like, you can have that same light bulb go from and run the whole gamut of the circadian rhythm. So you can start in the morning with the soft, warm light, just like a sunrise, and go through the day, get it a little bit brighter, and then bring it back to that dim sunset, and do it all in your home, because it does impact. Because even if you do and you design the most beautiful space in the home, if you have the wrong light bulb in there, even the most beautiful piece of furnishing or art, it's going to look horrific, right?
And it changes things so much.
Absolutely.
And I don't think a lot of people understand just the impact that the warmth or the coolness of the bulb, or the amount of kelvins, and you can get like really, really technical about lighting, but I'm always like, warm, no more than 3,000 kelvins. And that's kind of like,
yeah, that's usually where we stick with.
But dimmers
like,
everywhere, dimmer.
Yes, absolutely. And for me, the funniest part was growing up in Europe, we all had overhead lighting all the time. And I remember coming into my first apartment in the US, and I'm trying to turn the light on. I'm like, where's the light? Where's the light? There's no light. So I am happy that we're, unfortunately, the recessed lights are, becoming a little bit more frivolent, and people, when we design homes, we're adding a little bit more light. But again, it's just part of layering light, like having that
Definitely.
little beautiful vintage light that has a little bit story to tell and can give you that reading nook, or wherever you're going to do it
Yeah.
in the evening, versus having harsh overhead light. I think we usually just turn these lights just when we have company
Oh,
and
absolutely.
big parties, which we usually like to host. But most of the time, those lights are off, and we just have like a little side light to that. But the impact on the art and how things or the colors of the wall looks like, it's tremendous, and people don't realize. This is also why I hate when people are like, oh, can you give me advice about what color to paint my walls? And I'm like,
Well,
well, I'm sitting here on the internet. I have no idea what the lighting in your house right now. You took it in a specific time of the day. I have no idea if your lights are on or off. I don't know what the temperature of your light in the room.
which way does your house face?
Yes.
What color are your floors? There's like so many different things
Yeah.
that
So talking about things we hate and love.
things we hate.
I know, right? This is the episode.
How much time do we know?
Let's talk about Pinterest, because like you, I have a love and hate relationship with that, because I try not to send my clients over there because they're going down the rabbit hole. Like, I ask them to send me stuff that they like or stuff they don't like. And then you're starting by looking at a couch, and then suddenly you are somewhere looking at recipes of how to taxidermy rabbits, right?
Yeah, right,
It has
right.
nothing to do with what you were looking at.
I think for me, and going back to lighting real quick, and
Yeah.
you made me think of something about creating these pockets of light.
Uh-huh.
And I have a small lamp on my bar cart, and it's pretty much always on when we turn it off at night before we go to bed. But it just gives this little glow.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's
That
absolutely
yeah,
beautiful.
and
Yeah.
it's the cutest little thing. But and with all of the different rechargeable lights that they have now, and you don't necessarily have to worry about, well, is there an outlet there, because they have these USB rechargeable lights. And they've come a
Absolutely.
really, really long way. But Pinterest, I love Pinterest because it can help springboard you into inspiration. And that's how I use Pinterest. What bothers me is when people see things that are trendy, or people see things that are popular, and they're like, oh, yes, so-and-so says this is how things should be, so this is what I like. And it's like, but do you? And you get in the mindset that, I can't have an orange sofa because that's not the aesthetic.
Right.
Or like, you have to live in your house.
100%.
Then nobody but you has to deal with this or like this. Or I'm sure there are a lot of people that can't stand my house. So like, good Lord, how could and there's a lot of people that think, wow, her house is really cool because everything in her house says something about her.
Right.
And I think you take Pinterest for what it's worth, and you can save things that you like, but know why you like them. You don't like them because XYZ designer says that this is what you should like now. This is what's in style. Now, this is what we're leaning into. Oh, I like this room because I really, really like that chandelier because it's linear, or because it's got crystals, like whatever it is. So know why you like something or what inspires you. And I've heard this a million times, but it's true. Look in your closet. You're not going to go into my closet and see earth tones and neutrals. Yeah, I have some and I like them, but most of the time I'm going to have lots of pops of color. I have lots of jewelry, highs and low jewelry. Iris Apfel.
Oh, yes.
She, like her and Stevie Nicks are my queens, and Iris, may you rest in peace, fabulous lady. But what inspires you and then work that into your interiors or work that into what you wear.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's really important because when even if people do, because we do ask them to send us some inspiration photos, because sometimes the new space that we're redesigning is very different than what's happening at home,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because their first step into full remodel and redesign might be the bathroom or the kitchen, and then after that the rest of the house is flows.
Mm-hmm.
So we so they are looking to kind of, this is going to be their first step of redoing the whole home. So looking at the family room or the bedroom doesn't help us, because that's not the style that they want to have anymore, because that is because this is the furniture that they had from college, or this is the furniture when they had kids, and now they're empty nester and they don't want that anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
now we have to kind of create a whole new style for them. So we do ask them to go and send us some inspirational photos. But when I ask them, I also tell them, I'm like, send me stuff that you hate as well. So I want to know what you don't like. But also, if you're sending me a photo, I want to know what you send it to me, because sometimes they'll send a photo and it's going to be, I send it to you because I love the chandelier, and I'm looking at the whole aesthetic of the photo, and they're like, oh, no, I only send it to you for the sink. Oh, I only send it to you for the chandelier. So I need to know what is actually you like in that photo. And then also, don't expect us to recreate that photo. Like this is, like you said, it's just a jumping board to get the juices going, to get the idea what is the aesthetic that you want to come to, and then we're going to be the one coming in and creating that design for you and creating that look for you in your home. You don't hire designers for me to go and copy somebody else's design. That doesn't work that way. So the same thing is, like, I have, my love and hate is with HDTV, which is I have,
and for $20,000 we're gonna do the kitchen.
Yes.
I'm like,
in
what corner?
Yes. Yeah, which is hard because I have a lot of friends that are HGTV stars or former HGTV stars. So it's like, and I love them and they're amazing designers, but like a lot of times it's really explaining the clients that, like, this is still TV. It's not reality.
Yeah, it's not reality.
Yeah.
But there are things you can do to kind of like uplift your kitchen. My kitchen is not my choice. If you said, Sara, put together a kitchen, but I did a heavy grade, like vinyl wipeable peel and stick wallpaper backsplash. Mm-hmm. And it looks fantastic. And it really makes me feel like, yes, this is acceptable to me. This is what works for me. In my kitchen, I have one of those old school, like, remember when you had a desk in the kitchen?
Yes.
And did anybody really sit there and do anything? No. So, I have the kitchen desk, and it had the area where you could put the papers and the envelopes and then the little knee hole to slide the chair. And
most of the time, if we do keep the kitchen as is and just doing a quick, just like spruce up, we actually convert it into the wine cooler, because it's literally usually 24 inches. And if you remove the drawer, it's perfect spot for your wine cooler.
So I took one day, I took the jigsaw and I cut out all the little cubbies for the letters, and I did some measurements and I'm cutting these out, and my partner walks in. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "We're done with this." So I cut them out and I painted that area underneath the cabinets black. And I got a thing where you can build a wine rack. So I built a wine rack that looks custom to the knee hole. And then I have the glass hangers underneath. And
that's perfect.
I have another bar in my house, which that just sounds terrible.
Okay, we have two bars.
I have like the functional bar, and then the really pretty one with the lamp and everything. That holds the cordials,
Yes.
So then there's the other bar, and I have a tray, but it's a mirror and it's very reflective and it's beautiful and it's fun. So that's what came of the desk in the kitchen, but it becomes functional.
Yes.
To what you need it for. I don't need a desk in my kitchen. But I'm off on a tangent now.
No, that's perfect.
As I do.
Yeah, no, that is perfect. So, what advice do you have to someone that is new to buying vintage? Do you look in brand names, or do you like, I just love that piece, it works for my home? Like, what should they look at, or what? Uh,
Again, I go back to what speaks to you.
mhm.
What do you like? Also, you can feel quality. Like you can feel something that's heavy, or you can open a drawer and you know that that is a solid piece. Even even what I'm wearing 100%. All the polyesters died for this, but it is a different weight of
Yes,
polyester
yes.
than what the fast fashion is using now. So outside of what you love, of course, people have different price points.
Mhm.
um, Always carry a measuring tape around, have in the back of your mind, make a list on your phone of notes of what you might be looking for. A lot of complaints that I have from my friends when they talk about vintage and, oh, you're so lucky, you always find, or you always have this, or you always know to where to go. And okay, yeah, maybe a little bit, but I do this all the time.
Right.
I go all the time because it's fun for me. And it's my zen. It's what makes me tick. And so if you just decide on a whim to go one time and I didn't find anything, and maybe you won't, but if you're going all of the time, or starting out on estatesales.net, or if you want to get really, really
Or
curated,
just wear your caftan and go with your girlfriends.
just
I'm
yeah,
like, we love doing that.
just
Like,
just go. In fact, there's an estate sale not far from here that I might go to
there you
after
go.
our chat. But um, yeah, if you want something definitely more curated, there's Cherish. You're going to pay for that
Oh yeah,
curation.
Cherish is not cheap. Yeah.
You're going to pay for that curation, but sometimes time is money, and that's okay. But there's Everything But the House. That's an auction site. But for me, it's auctions, it's estatesales.net. It's knowing that something comes with a story, and if I can get the backstory behind the piece, I really like having that as well.
Absolutely. And I also love actually thrifting and like going when I travel.
Oh yeah.
Like, because now you get, really depends where you are around the world, or where you are even around the country, you get things that you might not even get in this area, things that are specifically for that area, or just, it's all kind of random. And actually my favorite story is that when I just came to the US, there's a very famous the Sunday flea market in New York, and in Midtown. And the first thing I bought there was this beautiful rustic metal rose that was absolutely rusted, and I had to use in New York, to use my very broken Russian to bargain with the Russian babushka, but I absolutely loved it. And it's like one of my favorite and cherished pieces. It wasn't big, it wasn't this, but it was, it created a story.
It's a great story.
It
Yeah,
created
absolutely.
story for my design. And it's like 25 years later, I still love that piece. It's still in my house, and I still remember that story of how I purchased it. I'm not gonna remember the stories of how I went online and bought something on Amazon. Like,
right. Oh my gosh, it was the best.
Yes.
It was Prime Day.
Yes.
Sunny out. Like nobody remembers.
Right.
those
Yes.
things.
Right. But when you went on the trip, or like you drove downtown and you suddenly saw, a store or something like that, and went rummaging with your girlfriends, or with, I love doing it with my daughter as well. Like, it really created like a really fun activity of like really bonding. My husband, not so much. He's like, I'll be outside.
Yeah.
Meet
yeah.
me at the bars. Too much.
But going, and when we travel and look for a souvenir, that's where we lean. We lean towards local thrift stores, or even local galleries, or local maker spaces, and get like a piece of art. And it doesn't have to be like what you would think of a piece of art and it's framed and we're hanging it on a wall. It could be anything you want to consider a piece of art.
Absolutely.
We're in the Virgin Islands. You had some conch salad. I found a postcard with the recipe for conch salad. That was my piece of art for that trip. And I love it because it reminds me of that every single time. And traveling to different places reminds me of Facebook Marketplace.
Yep.
How can I forget about Facebook Marketplace?
Oh,
Facebook
I love
Marketplace
it.
is amazing. And can I just say, everybody in Ohio and Pennsylvania, you have the most amazing things and you don't even know it. Because my Facebook Marketplace algorithm, I should sell it because it is fantastic. And it feeds me this wonderful stuff. Even if you don't necessarily think that you're going to go buy this item, like it anyway, because it's going to build your algorithm and start feeding you more of those things.
Yep.
So please do that. But Pennsylvania and Ohio has great things. And I buy a lot off of Facebook Marketplace. I sell things on Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes it's just easier than selling them in my shop. But like, what a wonderful tool. How amazing that we can have this, that we can pass things down. I just sold a little bench yesterday, as a matter of fact, that the person reached out to me and said, this is going to be so great for my daughter's room. And I'm like, oh, I love this because it was in my daughter's room.
That's awesome.
And it just makes me feel good. And, I didn't buy it new, so I don't know how many houses this has gone through, but it just keeps getting reincarnated.
It has a story,
and it's
that's
solid, and it's probably going to live a few more lives, hopefully.
That is awesome. Yeah, and like our friend Bree, she remodeled her bathroom, and she really wanted to pay homage to the, Reston 1960s. So she drove all the way to Pennsylvania to buy a pink toilet. But she found the original one. So, all right. So so I've two more questions. So do you restore any of the furnishing, or you just sell them as is? Like where's the fine line between, just reclaiming and finding them, putting in your store, to restoring them?
There's a lot of layers to that one.
Yeah, because I have in my house, I have one piece that absolutely completely original, the mid-century, but then I have another piece that was restored.
Okay.
Because I think it was in a pretty bad condition. So it's where's the, this one I like because it's they still kept most of the original, they just, fixed the varnish and just painted the top. So it's still quite almost true to its original. It's not straying too far away from where it was when it originally purchased. But what are your thoughts on that?
So for me, there are items that I love that are broken, and I love them that way. My throne in my breakfast room, the springs are starting to come out of the bottom. It needs to, I believe it to be horsehair, and it needs to be redone. I kind of love it. I kind of think it looks just fantastic that way. There are other things that, maybe it's a refinishing thing, and it's an easy refinishing thing, and maybe it's not such an easy refinishing thing. And it becomes a time is money. Well, what do I want to sell this for? And how much is it going to cost me in time and in materials to make it look a certain way? Well, maybe I don't sell it for as much, and somebody can do with it what they would like to do. Maybe you appreciate the imperfections, which I do a lot. I appreciate imperfections in things. And maybe it's a matter of changing out the hardware, or maybe it's a matter of the drawer fronts are fine, but you just need to paint the top. And, chalk paint's pretty cool. It's yes. I don't know if it's still in or whatever, but it does a lot of good things. So I really think it comes down to, what is it? What are the imperfections? Are they beautiful the way they are? Is it just a giant gouge in the top of it? Maybe that's not my deal. But time is money when you come to think about selling things. And so I kind of take all of those things into consideration and decide what I'm going to do with something, or if I'm going to buy something.
But it's worth it. So tell me a little bit before we're done about your store. Where can people find you and look at all the beautiful stuff that you have?
Absolutely. So Harvest and Hammer is located on the top floor of It's Bazaar. on 21st Street in Purcellville, Virginia. There's so many amazing vendors there. And if you're really looking to add a layer of something, to add texture, to add color, to put a little bit of character into your room, absolutely a wonderful place to go. Price points, all different kinds of price points. In that store, there's myself and, like I said, several other vendors. We all price things individually, like as separate vendors. I like to price my stuff very fair because I want to move my inventory. I don't want things to be stale there. I also want people to think, well, I better buy this now because next time it might not be there. So yes, it's Bazaar in Purcellville on 21st Street. If you'd rather just have me shop for you, I'm happy to do that.
Oh, perfect. Good to know.
Yeah,
Yes,
Let me know. You can direct message me on Instagram at Harvest and Hammer. And yeah, happy to shop vintage and spend somebody else's money.
Perfect. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us today,
You're
Sara.
You're welcome. I appreciate you having me. Cheers.
Cheers. So if you like this episode, please make sure to share with your friends, family. We are dropping new episode every Wednesday afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. So make sure to subscribe and click like and also ring the bell to make sure that you get notification on our new episodes. On the episode notes, you'll find the beautiful recipe for this Empress Gin and also all the information how to connect with Sara if you want to shop in her store or have her shop for you for some beautiful vintage items for your home. If you want to connect with us, again, it is also in the show notes, www.akgdesignstudio. If you want to be a guest, again, just email me, find me, and let me know what you want to talk about. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers.